We have seen an alleged murder with such specific text messages about the alleged murder weapon, where it was hidden, how it was placed, what was on it, but also it was very touching in a way that I think many of us didn't expect. A very intimate portrait into this relationship between the suspect's roommate and the suspect himself, with him repeatedly calling his roommate, who is transitioning, calling him my love, and I want to protect you, my love. So it was this duality of some.
But the case goes on, the investigation goes on. There's a lot of piecing of evidence together. We don't have a shooter tonight. We have a couple leads, a couple people that were released that probably aren't the shooter. There's a couple hot leads. There's a little bit of foreign intelligence. And I think over the next couple of days, we will learn a lot more, and hopefully we will bring to justice the evil person who did what they did to Charlie today.
You saying that you're getting information that says there's encrypted communications between crooks and foreign sources?
Now, what we know, and this was on the briefing we just received, he had 3 encrypted overseas accounts the FBI is trying to get into.
Right up.
Yeah. You think he'd already be in place?
You would think that. So there's somebody on the roof right there? Just saying.
Huh.
He just ran from over, where's my finger? Whoa. From over there, ran in, and now he's right there. Just saying. Just look, they're all pointing.
The Atlantic, maybe the Pacific.
Yeah, someone's on top of the roof. Look. There he is right there. Right there, see him? He's laying down. See him?
Yeah, he's laying down.
And still I'm here with you fighting like hell to get a Senate.
What's happening?
And to make sure we take back the White House, because if we do, we're going to make America better than ever before. We're going to make it.
Yeah, look. There he is.
Easy, because we have millions and millions of people in our country that shouldn't be here. Dangerous people. Criminals. We have criminals. We have drug dealers. We have people that should not be here.
Right on the roof.
It's much tougher than it happens.
You went right on the roof again.
Throughout the surveillance, the suspect keeps his head down and rarely raises his head enough to get a clear image of his face. As he proceeds across the campus, he is seen walking with an unusual gait. The suspect walks with very little bending in his right leg, consistent with a rifle being hidden in his pants. This unusual gait continues until the suspect is seen crossing the railway off the open walkway and onto the roof, where he leaves the camera's view. A camera later captures the suspect as he runs across the roof to the suspected shooting position. Immediately after the shot was fired, a camera captures the suspect running across the roof, carrying an item whose shape is consistent with a rifle. The suspect is then seen climbing down from the roof. He appears to
drop the item he was carrying as he hits the ground in a controlled fall. He then picks up the item and runs toward the northeast end of campus.
Report today that the DNA hits from the towel that was wrapped around the firearm and the DNA on the screwdriver are positively processed for the suspect in custody.
This is my rifle. It takes 2 different tools to take it apart. It takes a Torx key and an Allen key. Now, if I take a shot and immediately disassemble this, I have to remove the bolt, remove the magazine, grab my Allen key, hit the 2 bolts on the bottom, put those away in the Allen key, grab my Torx key, remove the scope, put everything in the backpack, make sure I have everything, and make my way downtown. Okay, which is going to take a lot longer for him than it is for me, especially because his fine-tuned motor function, something as simple as grabbing an Allen key to a little bolt, is going to be extremely impaired due to a dump of adrenaline throughout his bloodstream. An extreme elevated heart rate is going to make these fine-tuned skills extremely difficult. I mean, just for him to think and analyze of what needs to be done to disassemble this rifle and get away would be difficult. And we're not even going to touch the topic of him assembling the rifle on top of the roof, which if you reassemble a rifle and you take a cold dead shot, it's not going to be 100% accurate. Okay, or the fact that he disassembled this after taking a shot, which the rifle's going to be hot and they found no gloves. There's just so many inconsistencies. It just makes zero sense. I mean, I'm still working on this and I have taken this rifle apart 1,000 times. And now he has to put the pieces of the rifle into a backpack. And this is a gigantic backpack. Shout out Wolfpack, best backpacks on the fucking planet. Anyways, as you can see, this barrel, broken down, does not fit in this backpack. And this is a big boy, way bigger than the one that he was carrying. Okay, I put the rifle stock in here and guess what? It doesn't fit. It sticks out. Now let's just say for sake of argument that he put these in his pant legs and he was walking. These are still so long broken down that he would not be able to walk straight. He wouldn't be able to bend his legs. Doesn't make fucking sense.
So we looked at the statements and we looked at the timeline. But let's dive into one more disputed question that may help us make a decision one way or the other as to whether Oswald could have been in place for the shots. Did Oswald have a Coke in his hand immediately after the shooting when Officer Baker saw him? Why does it matter? If he did, then that means it would have taken him a few more seconds to buy the bottle of Coke once he got to the second floor landing, which would be unlikely since Officer Baker said Oswald wasn't out of breath. If he didn't have the Coke, it makes it more likely that Oswald could have sprinted down the stairs from the 6th floor where he allegedly saw Officer Baker on the 2nd floor. Oswald tells police during interrogations that he was on the 1st floor at the time of the shooting eating a cheese sandwich, although he had gone up to the 2nd floor to get a Coke. Oswald also said that he was drinking a Coca-Cola on the 2nd floor in the lunchroom when the officer saw him. But what does the record say about the Coca-Cola? Almost a year after the assassination, on September 23, 1964, Officer Baker signed an affidavit that he, quote, saw a man standing in the lunchroom drinking a Coke. In the affidavit, Baker crossed out the words drinking a Coke and initialed the change. Mrs. R.A. Reed, a clerical supervisor, saw Oswald walk through the clerical office on the 2nd floor at 12:32 holding a bottle of Coca-Cola. The Warren Commission's senior counsel, Albert Jenner Jr., said on WNYC television on December 23, 1966, that Oswald was, quote, drinking a bottle of Coke when the first policeman on the scene saw him. Would Oswald have had time to get a Coke after shooting the president and running down the stairs and not be out of breath? Why would Oswald even get a Coke unless he was just eating his lunch? The Warren Commission decided Oswald had just barely enough time after he shot the president to hide his rifle in the opposite corner of the 6th floor and then run down 4 flights of stairs where he encountered Officer Baker. Yet, according to Baker and Truly, Oswald was composed.
That's what this is kind of reminding me of, a Fed sweep. They pretend that they want more information, but in reality, they want to make sure that they have all of the information, all of the footage, so that they can control the narrative. Except sometimes things don't go as planned. Because before people realize they have anything, or maybe when they're trying to reach out to the feds, they're texting a friend who texts a friend. And the next thing you know, the whole neighborhood in all of Orem has something. And this is what happened. Something made its way around the entire town and into my tips line repeatedly. It is a very clear image of Tyler Robinson, allegedly taken, I'll say allegedly for safety here, but it's looking right according to my timeline, allegedly taken at 6:38 p.m. at a nearby Dairy Queen. Here is that photo that we can show you. Just take a look at this photo. What is wrong with this picture? A lot is wrong with this picture. First and foremost, 6:38 p.m., you just shot someone. You have gone through great pains to hide your face, to change your outfit. But wait, you didn't fully change your outfit, did you? I'm looking at this photo, and you're wearing jeans, and you're wearing the maroon shirt. Now we have a 50-50 combo of the outfits, and now you're showing your eyes, and you're not fearful at all that you might be recognized. Also, wow, you must have quite the stomach. You don't have a record. Next thing you know, you shoot someone and you're like, I'm just going to go have a meal. You don't seem to be too shaken or too upset. Something problematic is the location, by the way. We mapped this out. It's about 15 minutes away from the campus at a time when we're told that he's idling by, babysitting the rifle. So you can see, we're showing you, it's about a 17-minute drive away from the campus. So there should be a lot of footage then of this Dodge Challenger driving back and forth. Okay. And like I said, the biggest thing that jumps at me is he looks kind of content there. So he's got to be a full-blown psychopath wearing half of what the feds told us he was wearing in the morning and half of what the feds told us that he was wearing during the shooting. Okay. So why did he text in this exchange at all and say that he changed outfits? When you've just said, I changed my t-shirt, if that's the reality, you just changed your t-shirt and that was enough? Was it just a t-shirt that he changed? The outfit, again, as I sensed yesterday, has always been problematic. I feel the outfit was the Fed mistake. It never made any sense to say that he wore an outfit onto campus, light khaki shorts and a maroon shirt, and then decided to completely change hours later.
Yes. So when he's first spotted on campus, he has different clothing on, and then he changes clothing on the roof, and then changed back into that clothing at some point, so that when he was apprehended, when he was arrested, the clothing matched the clothing he had on before the shooting.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard.
The gun was found in the backyard of someone that I know. We all know each other. And it was found by a chicken coop. Like, you could describe it as a wooded area, but, you know, it's pretty suburban here. And it was found by her chicken coop. The locals are theorizing. Again, we have no proof of this. But this is what they are saying, is that they're not being honest about the fact that the house right next door to where the gun was found is a mysteriously vacant home that is owned by the university itself, and that is where they believe that the true shooter ran to following the assassination of Charlie Kirk. They think, and again, they're floating a theory here, that Tyler Robinson was instructed to merely drop off his gun, walks onto campus to simply drop off his gun at the chicken coop place. So I'm going to show you that. Do we have a map of that vacant property and where the gun location is found? And he says you'd have to be an insider to know that the general direction that person is running, even though they're very close, similarly would lead him to the vacant home that we've all kind of had questions about. You know, it's kind of been vacant for a while. And actually where the gun is found, it's just two different places.
Is going to be wearing all black long gun, black tactical helmet, a black mask, possibly wearing a tactical vest and jeans.
I'd like some legal representation. These police officers have not allowed me to have any. I don't know what this is all about.
Kill the president?
No, sir, I didn't. People keep asking me that. Sir?
You shoot the president?
I work in that building.
Were you in the building at the time?
Naturally, if I work in that building, yes, sir.
Back up, man! Did you shoot the president?
No, they're taking me in because of the fact that I lived in the Soviet Union. I'm just a patsy.
The president?
Keep going! Get the fuck out of here! Get out of here! No! Oh, he's hungry. Go! Let's just go. Shoot me! Shoot me! Was that you? We don't know if it's him or not.
Martha, who we've been talking to. We actually met him out there at the scene yesterday. He lives right near where this all happened at that rally. And you also recorded some video. As we see now, the suspect's van was parked right in your street. And they all kind of had it closed off, Martha, because they didn't want people from the rally to park on your street. So then you knew this guy's car wasn't supposed to be there. Walk me through what you saw.
So I came home a little bit before 5, saw a park there. Didn't really think too much of it. It was the only spot in the whole yard, or the whole road, that wasn't blocked off. So later on in the night, everything happened, and we got home, and we were sitting there and saw cops all lined on the street. So
so it's like, and then it's going to say GPIO.falling, so that's basically going to detect if the signal is decreasing. And then if that's our function we just created, we just called it switch.
Patriots! This video shows Maxwell Urick being taken to jail. Investigators say he tried to fight an officer who had just been pepper sprayed. All three are charged with assaulting police officers and rioting outside of Donald Trump's event at the convention center just after 7:45 last night. Hooper and Urick are also charged with resisting arrest. It all happened minutes after Trump's speech wrapped up, and all four officers were treated on scene for minor injuries.
Guess what, ladies and gentlemen? That van has been tied to this person, Maxwell Urick from Arizona. This van had Arizona license plates on it. And what I want you to do is go Google this name, Maxwell Urick. They're starting to scrub all information from Google and all these other sources, but there's still some stuff up. Go look at it right now and see who this is. This is a potential second shooter at the Trump rally. Now, I don't want to get my video banned, so I'm not going to say too much. I know I'm walking a fine line here. But ladies and gentlemen, what I did is I started doing a little research on this guy, and I found that he was tied to a company here in East Mesa, Arizona called Urick Armory Explosives. And if you Google that, ladies and gentlemen, it will show you a residence, a house. So today, me and my brother, we drove down to this residence, and very luckily, this is just by the grace of God, ladies and gentlemen. This is just how things happen sometimes, and you got to give all praise and glory to God, because there's no way this could really happen. But as we were driving by, there was a person walking out, and I was able to talk to her and ask her some questions. And I want you to be the judge of her body language and the things that I asked her and how she answered. And tell me what you think, ladies and gentlemen, because something is very fishy about this, and things are just not adding up. So enjoy the video, and God bless.
Stop. Hello. How are you?
Good. Is Max here?
Max.
You don't know Max? Urick?
I don't know any Max.
Max Urick or Maxwell?
Could I ask who you are?
My name's Tyson Draper, and I run a YouTube channel and TikTok channel, and I follow stories of missing people. And I heard that there was a missing persons report filed on him. Is that true?
I have no idea.
Who are you?
I'm a relative.
Okay. Is this also Urick Explosives? Armory?
I don't want to talk without anybody else's, involvement or whatever. So.
What do you mean anybody else's involvement?
I have no say on anything.
Oh, are you part of the family or part of the business?
I'm part of the family, but I don't know it. I don't know who you are.
Well, okay, so like I said, my name's Tyson Draper, and I'll just be upfront and honest with you. I help find missing people. I heard he was missing since the Trump rally in Pennsylvania. Is there any truth to that?
I have no idea.
Okay, so the van that they towed at the Trump rally in Pennsylvania that had Arizona license plates, did that belong to him?
Like I said, I have no idea.
Did he have a van, a GMC white van?
I don't know anything about that.
What kind of...
I need to go now.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Whenever we looked out, we walked outside and saw them opening up his vehicle and everything. When the cop opened it, everybody else jumped back and was trying to stay out of the way. Here I am worried about it blowing up or whatever's going on. So,
I mean, to find out that this happens and the former president gets shot nearly right in the head, almost assassinated across the street from your house, and then to find out that the gunman's car was possibly parked right in front of your house. How many cops are we talking about that were out there surrounding this van? And was there a license plate on the back of that van?
There was probably 5 to 10 cars out there, and there was an Arizona plate on the van. And there was probably 15 cops altogether, all outside of the van. And then, like I said, whenever the one opened up the door, the rest of them all jumped back trying to stay out of the way.
Did the police talk to you at all? I know you were out there with your son. Were you guys worried for your safety?
We weren't not worried, but yeah, we didn't talk to any cops or anything. They waved hello, but that was about it. So.
Okay, welcome back to Tipping Point. I'm your host, Kara McKinney, a teenage volunteer firefighter and traditional Catholic altar boy whose father is struggling through chemotherapy, leaving the 15-year-old to take care of his 93-year-old great-grandmother by himself for hours each day, is the latest target of the FBI. The resulting raid on the family's home left them dragged out of their home at gunpoint, handcuffed, and then locked inside a van. Instead of tracking down the high-level criminal organizations running mass looting sprees that have cost businesses billions of dollars and have made cities incredibly dangerous and even more impoverished than they already were, well, they decided to make up a crime instead, whole cloth, to entrap a defenseless teen for political points. Because like I keep saying, the current incentives for career advancement at the FBI and the DOJ are political points, not going after bad guys, because with the way the left is going, the criminal you arrest today could be tomorrow's hero. So what these feds did was create online group chats and message boards that purposely use traditional Catholic and conservative imagery and memes to lure in users online. From there, they provided friendship and camaraderie to many lonely and disaffected people, like this homeschooled teenager who had been given a cell phone for the first time in his life so that he could better communicate care needs for the elderly relative he was caring for. And since he was bored, lonely, and was dealing with a whole host of depression-inducing situations, including recent deaths in the family, financial insecurity, and ongoing health issues of his dad and great-grandmother, he easily got sucked into these message groups. But since this was a Fed entrapment scheme, they began upping the ante, introducing more vile rhetoric hidden under the guise of edgy political insights, and asking the young teen to take pictures of himself outside with a ski mask on, or to print pictures of memes to leave at parks, and even to take pictures with his family's guns. All decisions he has since apologized for and says he deeply regrets. This didn't go on for too long, and eventually the teen felt his conscience gnawing at him, and so he deleted everything, and then he left the chat. This made the FBI believe that he had gone dark, meaning that a massive attack was imminent. But once they began investigating for a warrant, they came up empty-handed. However, that didn't stop them. The kid had only broken free of the fake rhetoric they were trying to force on him to create a crime that didn't previously exist. You know, back in the day, sting operations were done when crimes were suspected. They weren't used to create crimes that don't exist. It's the difference between infiltrating a known extremist web chat and creating one by dragging in lonely people who are incapable of anything violent, making them feel like they finally have friends. And so they say some stupid stuff just to have someone listen to them and finally care about them. And next thing you know, they're being arrested. We saw that with the Whitmer Fednapping hoax in Michigan. If the kid is going to get arrested for saying extremist things, well, the people who fed him those lines were the feds. He didn't come up with this stuff on his own. So why aren't the feds being arrested for saying all that? Anyway, after the raid, the feds found nothing, of course, and so they gave up on their entrapment scheme, left the kid with a misdemeanor conviction for breach of peace, and then went after his dad, the dad and the dad's brother, for letting the teen safely shoot under their supervision because the feds said they were allowing a political extremist to shoot. It's insane, and it's bankrupted the family, and the feds don't care. They literally created a storm of pain and misery for this family who was already dealing with so much. And now adding insult to injury after making up fake crimes, they're leaving them, the family, with the bills.
And we go now to new developments in the plot to kidnap and kill Governor Gretchen Whitmer.
13 suspects arrested, including 7 alleged members of a right-wing militia group
who are preparing to kidnap and possibly kill me.
The defense claims the FBI, through undercover agents and informants, were behind the plan, and that Fox and Croft were duped into going along with it.
What the FBI did is unconscionable.
It's almost like they had their evidence, had their facts, and created the crime.
Let's get a plan together to attack our governors all at the same time.
We can cloud the water. We can send everybody into disarray and chaos.
He's the perfect chameleon. He knew exactly what to say, how to say it.
Dan Chappell was the driving force of it all.
He was there to lead. He was there to orchestrate.
I think he viewed us as an opportunity.
Everything here is a lie or a manipulation.
It's almost impossible to fathom how brazen, how bold, and how dangerous these individuals were.
Thank you to the fearless FBI agents.
Inside, the takedown of the FBI agent who led one of the nation's biggest domestic terror investigations.
If you can think of a synonym for patriots, think of terrorists.
You're seeing the exact same methodology being used without difference.
Everything about this case was a terrorism attack, I agree, by the FBI.
Unlimited power, unlimited money. My biggest fear is being, called a terrorist from the nation that I love.
Your entire life could be taken away from you for something you didn't do.
What they've done is destroying lives.
And I will not stop until he's free or I die.
A saying we have in my office is don't let the facts get in the way of a good story.
Suave saw some issues with the case from the beginning and spent a little bit of time investigating the facts, was kind enough to join us before this. You predicted this, Robbie. I want to get to the merits of the case in a minute, but this from NBC News, not from MSNBC, NBC News. A federal jury failed to convict 4 men accused of plotting to kidnap Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer, whom they despised for the restrictions she ordered earlier in the pandemic, as if it was the jury's fault.
Yeah, right. Incredible. Yeah, incredible reaction. I'm seeing a lot of media kind of misunderstanding of this case. Yeah, I saw a lot of kind of crazy reaction from Joy Reid had one who is with MSNBC. I think people, if they didn't pay really close attention to this case, might not understand that Gretchen Whitmer was actually never in any real danger, because for the entire time of the so-called plot being organized, the FBI was completely aware of it and actually was paying an informant to make sure it went forward to the stage where they thought they'd have enough evidence to arrest them, which is not what you hear.
As you really read into the case, it seems like the 4 people who were put on trial, 2 of whom are now thankfully home with their families, were too stoned and dumb to do just about anything but for this FBI informant who egged things on, and an FBI agent who may or may not have had some ulterior motives. Then Gretchen Whitmer, the governor, has now released a statement. Today, Michiganders and Americans, especially our children, are living through the normalization of political violence.
The jury was pretty clear, because what happened during the actual trial was what I thought an incredibly one-sided presentation by the prosecution. They pulled every trick in the book to make sure all of the evidence they wanted to present, they were able to present, and they were very good at shutting down anyone they didn't want to be able to speak. And still, the jury saw through this and said, well, wait a minute. She was never in any real danger. And wait a minute, who was the one organizing this? Who was the one saying, let's surveil Whitmer's house? Oh, it was the person being paid by the FBI. I think this is an example of sort of, regular people having enough sense to go, yeah, these guys might be morons. We can absolutely strongly object to the things they said. Maybe some other lesser prosecution would have been appropriate. But this was not, they were not about to pull off the heist of the century. They were at no point anywhere near doing that.
FBI arrested these 2 men for conspiring to attack a military recruiting station outside Seattle with weapons provided, of course, by the FBI. The FBI's informant was Robert Childs, a convicted rapist and child molester who was paid $90,000 for his work on the case. This isn't an outlier. Osmakosh also had schizoaffective disorder. He too was broke, and he had no connections to international terrorist groups. Behind closed doors, the squad supervisor described their would-be terrorist as a retarded fool who didn't have a pot to piss in. They described his terrorist ambitions as wishy-washy and a pipe dream scenario. They gave him a car bomb. They gave him an AK-47. They helped him make a so-called martyrdom video. And they even gave him money for a taxi cab so he could get to where they wanted him to go. With mentally ill men like Sammy Osmakosh, unwitting actors, in a carefully choreographed production brought to you by the FBI.
Are you the Oklahoma City bomber?
Maybe one of the benefits of me talking to you today is that you'll see that maybe not everything is true that you've heard about me.
On the morning of April 19, 1995, a decorated Gulf War combat vet blew up the federal building in Oklahoma City using a truck bomb that he didn't build and a Ryder truck that he didn't rent with the help of a passenger who didn't exist. Having just gotten away with the largest act of terrorism on U.S. soil to date, the Fort Bragg-trained Special Forces Sheep Drip Dropout blended in with the crowd by making his getaway in a car without a license plate and was immediately pulled over. The ATF was the supposed target of the attack, but luckily all of their agents were out of the office that morning. Later that day, the president boldly declared,
"We will find the people who did this.
And
when we do, justice will be swift, certain, and severe."
Except for
John Doe number 2.
John Doe number 2.
John Doe number 2.
Who, according to the FBI, never existed. In McVeigh's unprecedented 3.5-week trial, the prosecution didn't show the CCTV footage of him and John Doe number 2 parking the Ryder truck. Didn't explain why 24 separate witnesses mass hallucinated the existence of John Doe number 2. Didn't explain why the government was testing truck bombs and the army was storing Ryder trucks at Camp Gruber right before the bombing. And didn't talk to the FBI informants who blew the whistle on the plot. But they did collaborate with the CIA, and they did convict McVeigh as the lone wolf bomber and Terry Nichols as his bomb-constructing accomplice. Still, a bunch of crazy conspiracy theorists, including 300 bombing victims, insist on talking about facts and evidence and refuse to simply believe what they've been told a million times by people in tailored suits with well-coiffed hair. They quote the U.S. Army Brigadier General and the FBI crime lab whistleblower and the inventor of the neutron bomb who point out the physical impossibility that the Ryder truck bomb did the damage to the building, but that doesn't matter because if there were other bombs in the building that day, we would have heard about them.
The second explosive was found and defused.
I think he said another bomb.
The Justice Department is reporting that a second explosive device has been found.
They then found a third device, which was also larger than the first.
And I see another bomb truck going, so apparently they're going to try to get out that third bomb.
The FBI claims to have lost the footage showing McVeigh and John Doe number 2 parking the truck in front of the Murrah building that morning, but that's understandable because the Bureau has a lot of important evidence to store. Terry Nichols insists the FBI was involved in the plot, but thankfully a judge has saved us the trouble of listening to him by preventing lawyers from deposing him. There was a bomb squad truck parked across the street 2 hours before the blast, but that just shows the authorities were prepared for anything. And
other documents obtained by 2020 show that someone called the Executive Secretariat's office at the Justice Department in Washington and said the Murrah building had been bombed. But this was 24 minutes before the blast.
But that just shows the public was unusually vigilant that morning. Also,
apparently, before the bombing, Governor Frank Keating's brother, Mark, had been working on a novel about a terrorist bombing in Oklahoma City. Stranger still, one of the characters in the novel was named Thomas McVeigh.
But that's probably just a coincidence. McVeigh wrote a letter to his sister where he admitted to being a secret Special Forces operative, and he complained to friends of the pain in his ass from an Army-implanted microchip, but that's crazy because if he didn't actually leave the Army in 1991, there would be proof of that. McVeigh was not executed on May 16, 2001 as scheduled because
the FBI had failed to turn over thousands of pages of evidence to McVeigh's defense attorneys.
But the execution went ahead on June 11th. In a highly unusual and secret agreement, no autopsy was performed. One witness said he was still breathing, and the prison officials admitted his hearse was a decoy. Then, the case was officially closed. And if you question any part of this story, you are a paranoid, wingnut, birther, truther, tenther, prepper, conspiracy loon who'd bring up any of these points ever again. Ever. This message has been brought to you by the friends of the FBI, ATF, DOJ, CIA, SPLC, MSM, and the U.S. Army. And remember, ignorance is strength.
With no answers. Videos from the event show no muzzle flash from Paddock's window on the 32nd floor of the Mandalay Bay Hotel. Photographs show that Paddock's windows were intact during the shooting. Police inside the room after the shooting said there was no broken window.
I do not have a broken window.
After the shooting, a man staying at the Mandalay Bay called 911 and reported an explosion and glass falling down from above.
911 emergency, Brown 15968. Do you need police, fire, or medical?
Okay, and I just heard what sounded like a explosion above me, and then glass coming down around me, or right outside the window.
Later that night, BBC television showed one window being broken. By the next morning, there were 2 broken windows. Several witnesses claimed there were multiple shooters.
sounded like there were a dozen shooters.
It sounded like more than one machine gun.
The New York Excalibur shooting was right outside. It wasn't inside. It was outside. We saw the muzzle flashes.
I'm waiting for somebody to come through that entrance because it sounds like they're on the ground.
I knew we were getting gunshots that were closer to us than where they originally started, and that's when we knew we had to run.
We all started running, and they came in.
There's a shooter in front of Hollywood right now.
Multiple shooters. It has to be.
There was also shooting going on inside of the Mandalay Bay.
Claims of multiple shooters can also be heard on security and police comms.
There was a shooter at the front desk of New York, and 2 shots were fired inside casino floor.
It sounds like it's confirmed there are at least 2 shooters with fully automatic weapons.
Now I'm getting information of an active shooter at Tropicana.
Has advised bomb squad to deal with the issue over there at Luxor, reference the 445 device.
It is be advised now there's an active shooter at the Tropicana, active shooter at Tropicana.
In one video, we see what looks like a weapon firing from a window 6 floors above Paddock's room in the Four Seasons, which is owned by Bill Gates and Saudi Prince Al Walid bin Talal. There also appears to be muzzle flashes coming from the sky on both sides of the Mandalay Bay, precisely where flight radar places 3 helicopters that turned off their transponders minutes before the shooting began, while hovering in position overlooking the Route 91 Harvest Festival.
He's flying in a helicopter. Do you think he's in a helicopter?
Yes, not a doubt in my mind that there was shooting coming from the helicopter.
In room 32135, Paddock's hard drive was suspiciously missing from his laptop. There were several pairs of gloves, mobile phones, and multiple hotel room keys used just 30 minutes before the shooting, including smart keys available only to hotel staff. At first, police said they witnessed Paddock kill himself, and then they claim they found him dead after the breach. And for some unknown reason, his time of death was marked at noon the following day. Mandalay Bay security guard Jesus Campos was supposedly shot in the leg by Paddock 6 minutes before he began his attack. And yet, it took law enforcement 72 minutes to get into Paddock's hotel room. Body cam footage shows a hotel security guard directing police to the 32nd floor.
32. 32? Yeah, 32. Hey, okay. Is it confirmed? Yeah, the 32.
And less than 10 minutes later, directing other officers to the 29th floor.
Yeah, you already got 29th floor, that's all we got.
When the police finally get to Paddock's floor, hotel security seems strangely casual. One strolls down the hallway with his back to Paddock's room and points behind him to room 135. And they then stand calmly in the hallway with their attention fixed on the police. Hotel security manager George Umstadt was later found hiding in a hotel room and detained by police. And several key officers were never even questioned. Campos claimed he went to UMC Quick Care for treatment, but the facility stated they had no record of this. He then left the country and returned only to appear on the Ellen DeGeneres Show, owned by MGM. MGM was granted a restraining order weeks after the shooting to prevent them from destroying evidence.
I can only think of 2 possible scenarios here. One, completely implausible, that the Mandalay was a co-conspirator in this, which is nonsense. Or
Right.
number 2, there's some kind of hostility or a trust gap developing between law enforcement and the Mandalay. Nothing else makes sense, Tucker. There's no other way to square that circle.
They are citing 3 people at the FBI familiar with the investigation, reporting that the Bureau is looking into posts by at least 7 different accounts. Several of the accounts appear to belong to transgender individuals, and at least one of them followed the suspect in this case, Tyler Robinson's roommate. Okay, so followed the roommate, the boyfriend, with whom Robinson was reportedly in a romantic relationship. Minutes after Charlie Kirk was pronounced dead, the user posted on X, "We fucking did it." This person has since deleted the account. Another user, 5 days before the shooting, wrote, quote, "You guys, I have something big coming soon. Just be sure to check the news. You'll know it when you see it," along with an emoji giving a wink. "I have something big coming soon. Just be sure to check the news. You'll know it when you see it." 5 days before the assassination. Then on Wednesday, after the shooting, this same account writes, quote, "Well, that's that." Also reporting a TikTok account by an individual who appears to be transgender, writing, quote, "Charles James Kirk does not know what's coming tomorrow. This isn't a threat. It's a promise." So how did all these people know this? Did they just get lucky? They just stumbled upon, they just had a feeling something was going to happen to Charlie and they all wrote it and they have links to the trans community? Wow, that's quite a coincidence. And there's new information regarding Tyler Robinson, the suspect, as well. As I mentioned above, he was in a romantic relationship with his roommate, who's a biological man pretending that he can become a female and in the process of that, quote, transition. This news was confirmed to Axios by 6 sources. And not just that, but as we reported in our own AM update this morning, Tyler Robinson himself appears to have a link to so-called furry culture and a website to this culture, which is linked to the trans community and which involves people dressing up like animals and getting some sort of sexual fetish out of it. By the way, that same so-called boyfriend who was trying to trans himself into female was constantly all over the internet in furry costumes. That's where the things stand this morning at 12:13 Eastern Time.